A car just left a factory in southern China and drove 1,500 kilometers without stopping once. 1,500 kilometers is farther than driving from Los Angeles to Denver on a single charge. For over a decade, that number has been the wall every electric car maker on the planet has slammed into. Batteries came in exactly two flavors, cheap and safe, or powerful and expensive, and you had to pick one before the factory even opened. That single choice quietly decided how far you could drive, how much you'd pay, and how much you'd worry watching the range number drop on a long trip. One company broke that rule completely, and how they pulled it off is almost impossible to believe once you see it. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly what changed and why nobody else has figured out how to copy it yet. Let's start with the problem this whole video is actually about. Range anxiety. For more than a decade, electric cars have carried one quiet flaw that no amount of marketing has fully solved. You buy a battery built around one chemistry, and you're stuck with its trade-offs. Lithium iron phosphate batteries, known as LFP, are cheap, safe, and last a long time, but they can't hold as much energy for their size. Nickel cobalt manganese batteries, known as NCM, pack in far more energy, but they cost more and carry more fire risk if something goes wrong. For years, every battery maker on Earth had to pick a side and build an entire factory line around that one choice. It's a little like a bakery that can only ever make one kind of bread, because switching ingredients means shutting down and rebuilding the entire oven. That single decision, made once at the factory level, has quietly capped how far every electric car on the road can travel. And it's the wall every automaker has been running into for years. Buyers felt it too, in a simpler way. The nagging math of watching the range number drop on a dashboard and wondering if the next charger is actually working when you get there. That wall is exactly what a company called CATL decided to knock down. But to understand why they were the ones to do it, you need to know where CATL came from. The man behind it is Robin Zhang, a physicist from a small town in Fujian province, who once had nothing more exotic than a physics degree and a job fixing hard drive components for a Japanese electronics company. In the late 1990s, Zhang noticed something most of his colleagues missed. A tiny company called Sony had just commercialized the first lithium-ion battery, and almost nobody in China was paying attention. Zhang quit his stable engineering job, and in 1999 he co-founded a small battery startup with two of his former bosses. Early tests kept failing. The batteries swelled, some caught fire. Zhang and his team spent months testing different chemical formulas by hand until they found one that survived hundreds of charging cycles without breaking down. That stubborn, unglamorous battery company eventually became ATL, making batteries for phones and laptops long before anyone cared much about electric cars. When China's government began pushing hard for electric vehicles in the late 2000s, Zhang saw the opening before most of his competitors did. In 2011, he spun off ATL's electric vehicle division into a brand new company, Contemporary Amperex Technology, or CATL. Today, that company supplies batteries to BMW, Ford, and even Tesla, and controls roughly 38 out of every 100 electric vehicle batteries sold anywhere on the planet. The engineer who once tested battery formulas by hand now runs the company, deciding how far most of the world's electric cars can drive on a single charge. So, when CATL says they have found a way past the LFP versus NCM wall, it is worth paying attention. In April of 2026, at an event they called Super Technology Day, CATL unveiled a battery called Freevoy, and it does something no major battery maker had pulled off before. Here is the idea in plain terms. Instead of picking LFP or NCM and building a whole factory around one, CATL found a way to blend both materials together at the powder stage before the battery cells are even assembled. Picture two bakers who used to run separate bakeries, one making only white bread, one making only whole wheat, finally deciding to mix both flours together in the same bowl before anything goes in the oven. That is essentially what is happening here, except at a scale smaller than a grain of sand. CATL calls this process gradient uniform mixing, and it uses the crystal structure of the LFP material as a kind of scaffolding with NCM particles blended evenly through it at the powder level. Once mixed, the material goes through completely standard battery-making steps: coating, stacking, sealing. Nothing about the factory changes. What changes is the ingredient itself before it ever becomes a battery. The result is a battery pack that pulls double duty. It gets some of LFP's safety and low cost, and some of NCM's higher energy storage in the exact same cell. CATL says this pushes energy density to 230 watt-hours per kilogram, which is about 15 to 20% higher than a standard LFP battery of the same weight. In real-world terms, that is the difference between a car that needs charging every 4 days and one that can go almost a full week on the same size battery pack. There is also a safety benefit hiding inside this design that is easy to overlook. LFP batteries are prized because their internal structure resists overheating, which is why they rarely catch fire even when damaged. By building the NCM particles into that same LFP framework, rather than storing the two chemistries in separate sections of the pack, CATL keeps most of that fire resistance while still gaining NCM's extra energy. Think of it like reinforcing a wooden house with steel beams instead of tearing it down and starting over in brick. You keep the parts that already worked well, and you only change what needed to change. For a driver, that means more range without trading away the peace of mind that made LFP popular with families in the first place. Now, here's where we need to be precise, because CATL didn't just announce one battery that day. They announced 6 related products, and different versions produce very different numbers. The everyday version of Freevoy, built for family cars, delivers about 500 kilometers of pure electric range. A higher-end NCM version of the same Freevoy platform pushes that to 600 kilometers on electric power alone, and when it's paired with a small backup engine, the combined range climbs past 2,000 kilometers, roughly the distance from Miami to Boston without needing to stop. CATL's own data shows that backup engine kicks in less than 1% of the time during normal daily driving, meaning most owners would functionally never touch a drop of gasoline. The headline: 1,500 kilometer figure this video opened with comes from a related pure electric configuration unveiled at the same event, using the same underlying manufacturing breakthrough. Different badge, same underlying idea. Blend the ingredients smarter at the powder stage, and the car goes further on the same charge without getting any heavier or more expensive to build. Picture what that actually looks like for an ordinary driver. Someone commuting 50 kilometers a day in a car built on this platform could go 2 full weeks between charges. A family driving from one coastal city to another for a holiday could make the entire trip without once pulling off the highway to wait at a charger. That's the real shift here. Range stops being something you calculate before a trip and starts being something you simply forget about, the same way nobody plans a gas station stop before driving to the grocery store. Range wasn't the only wall CATL knocked down that night. Charging speed has always been the second half of the range anxiety problem, because a battery that goes far but takes an hour to refill doesn't actually solve anything for a driver in a hurry. CATL's answer is a charging standard called 10C, and the numbers are hard to fully process the first time you hear them. Their new battery can go from 10% charge to 98% in about 6 minutes and 27 seconds. Even in freezing conditions of 30 degrees below zero, it can charge from 20 to 98% in around 9 minutes. That's less time than it takes to order and eat a fast food meal. For comparison, most fast chargers on American roads today still take 20 to 40 minutes to reach 80%, not even a full charge. CATL basically cut that wait down to the length of a bathroom break. For a Western benchmark, look at Tesla's own battery program. Its widely discussed 4680 cell, first announced back in 2020 as the future of faster, cheaper batteries, has taken years longer than planned to reach full production volume, and Tesla still buys a large share of its battery cells from outside suppliers, including from CATL itself. That's not a knock on Tesla's engineering. It's a reminder of just how far ahead the manufacturing side of this race has moved in China, where the challenge isn't inventing a new battery chemistry on a whiteboard, it's building millions of them a year without a single defective cell slipping through. CATL didn't stop at the battery itself either. The same event unveiled a fully integrated charging and battery swapping network aimed at removing the last excuse for range anxiety entirely. A car with a nearly dead battery can pull into a swap station and leave minutes later with a fully charged pack, no waiting at all. Pair that with a battery capable of 6-minute fast charging and you get two separate solutions to the exact same problem, built by the exact same company, rolled out on the exact same night. None of this happened in a vacuum though, and it is worth being honest about that. CATL's biggest domestic rival, BYD, released its own second-generation Blade battery and flash charging system just 1 month earlier, capable of going from 10 to 97% in about 9 minutes. CATL's April announcement reads less like an isolated miracle and more like a direct response to a rival breathing down its neck. That kind of competitive pressure, two of the world's largest battery makers racing each other on the same soil, is actually part of why progress in this specific race has moved so fast. Neither company can afford to sit still, and Western battery makers are watching a fight they are not currently part of. And that's really the bigger story underneath all of this. Battery technology used to be led by companies like Panasonic in Japan and LG and Samsung SDI in South Korea. As recently as 2015, those three companies together controlled most of the global EV battery market. Today, CATL alone controls more of that market than all three of them combined, and BYD sits in second place worldwide. Together, Chinese battery makers now produce more than half of every EV battery installed on the planet. Meanwhile, Panasonic, once the battery supplier that helped launch Tesla's entire business, has steadily lost ground and now trails well behind both Chinese giants in global market share. In Europe, an ambitious homegrown battery maker called Northvolt was supposed to be the continent's answer to this exact problem. It collapsed into bankruptcy in 2024 after burning through billions in funding, a stark reminder of just how hard this industry is to break into from a standing start. That matters far beyond stock prices and factory output. A battery is the single most expensive part of an electric car, often close to a third of the entire vehicle's cost. Whoever builds the batteries effectively sets the price, the range, and the charging speed of electric cars everywhere, for every brand, in every country. Automakers in America and Europe aren't just competing with Chinese car brands anymore. Many of them are quietly dependent on Chinese battery suppliers to build their own electric vehicles at all, including brands you'd never expect to have any connection to China whatsoever. This is why the United States has spent the last few years trying to build its own battery supply chain almost from scratch, offering subsidies to attract factories and pushing automakers towards suppliers outside China. Ford's own battery partnership with CATL to build a plant in Michigan has faced repeated political scrutiny and had to be scaled back, a sign of just how tangled this issue has become. It is not simply a business decision anymore. It is treated as a matter of national supply chain security, the same way oil pipelines and shipping lanes were treated a generation ago. The country that controls the battery controls a piece of leverage that reaches into nearly every other economy on Earth. Step back, and the pattern becomes clear. This is not just a story about one battery going further on one charge. It is a story about who gets to decide how electric transportation works for the next decade. Every gain in energy density, every minute shaved off a charging time, tightens the grip of whoever builds that battery. And right now, the company doing that fastest is one founded by a physicist who once tested battery chemicals by hand in a small lab in Fujian because he noticed something the rest of the world had not yet. The lesson here is not really about lithium or nickel or crystal structures. It is about what happens when a country decides that a specific industry is worth winning outright, and then builds 3, 4, 5, 6 competing giants inside its own borders to make absolutely sure it happens. Batteries were never just about cars. They are about who gets to run the next century of energy, one factory, one formula, one 6-minute charge at a time. And while other countries are still debating subsidies and building their first pilot plants, the company that already won this round is quietly designing the battery that will make today's 1500 kilometers look ordinary. If this video changed how you think about electric cars, hit that like button and subscribe so you do not miss the next one. Here is a question for you. If your next car could charge in 6 minutes and drive 1,500 kilometers on that charge, would that number be enough to finally talk you into going electric? Drop your honest answer in the comments below.